Recording.
All right. So welcome everybody. Even though we're a small group, very happy to have the numbers we do. Basically, the agenda for today is go through any announcements that we have, or if you guys have any that you'd like to share, by all means, and then updates from the last meeting, which since the third got canceled, it will be from November. And then we're going to go through our fundraiser, which is a print potluck. And then Ruben is going to take us through volunteer groups. And then there's like an open floor section built in, and then we're going to close the meeting. So let's see, meeting announcements. Does anybody have, I personally don't have anything from the October meeting that I don't think isn't going to get covered with the fundraiser and the volunteer groups. But if somebody else has anything they'd like to announce, then by all means, take the floor. All good? Yep, okay. So that means updates, like I said, will be aside from the fundraiser and the volunteer groups. I do know that on the website, we have the reoccurring meetings up on a calendar, so you can go ahead, I think through the whole year of 2023. I might be wrong on that. It might just be the first 6 months, but I think they're scheduled out. So if you want to go look at that to kind of get them in your diary ahead of time, that is up and running. I think that's the only update I have. Potentially.
I think maybe I have an update. Sorry to cut in.
No, you're fine.
It's not a huge update, but I just wanted it to be known that Tanushree been really making a lot of progress with her Takeover Tuesdays. So we should be seeing some pretty regular Takeover Tuesdays coming up, and meet our members as well. So look forward to that on the Instagram. And then I think that's the only big announcement that I have, or update or continuum that I have. Oh, that's not true. This was something I was supposed to talk about last time. So I tried looking into us doing a PayPal account, but they ask us for a bank account number immediately, like straight off the gate. So I can technically put it under my account, I guess, but it makes things complicated because they have it where you have to select what type of business you are. And that makes me think we might just want to use somebody's existing PayPal or Venmo or something, because it gets very technical and specific. But we have a PayPal shell created, so whenever we're ready for that, But yeah, there was no way to kind of skirt around that in the inception.
What do you remember? Oh, go ahead.
No, you're okay. I was just gonna say that really is all.
I was gonna say, do you remember if we have the document that Kay made about looking into fundraising, but I can't remember if there's a difference with Venmo, because I'm pretty sure with Venmo, you just have to have something. I don't even think you need a bank account tied to it. So for the fundraiser, we could potentially just do it via Venmo and then transfer it all over later. But I'm pretty sure Venmo is not FDIC insured, so if it goes missing, it's gone. So maybe that is something that I will look into as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
One thing we need to be aware of, I think when using PayPal and Venmo right now, is that the tax rules did now just change to where if you make over $600, and again, I have to look into this more, but you will have to like eventually pay taxes on it. Like you'll be sent a form, like I think a 1099 form. So that's just something that we should be aware of. Again, not sure if we'll I know 600 is like kind of around the ballpark of what we need. But yeah, just something to keep in the back of mind.
I thought, I mean, you could check into that more, or I can too, but I thought that was a $600 transaction or more, which you maybe didn't have at this time.
Mm,
Like if you're just getting a bunch of small, like $50, transactions, I don't think it's that's gonna get newly flagged by the IRS. I think it's like, if I send you $700 at once,
mhm.
that gets flagged.
Okay.
Worth checking into.
Yes.
Basically just look into, because GoFundMe was the other option we were thinking about, right? Instead of PayPal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't PayPal also, or not PayPal, GoFundMe have like a fee attached to it?
Yes,
Like a percentage or something.
they take
Yeah.
0.145 cents and 30 cents per transaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be more into Venmo or PayPal personally.
Well, then I'll do some digging into Venmo. And because I'm pretty sure you don't need a bank account tied to it. You could tie it to like a debit card also. Or you can just leave it sitting there, I'm pretty sure, and then we could deal with it later. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's not FDIC insured, so we might need to, yeah, I'll just look into it a bit more and get back to it. Hi, Tanushree.
Hey Olivia, sorry guys, I got the time wrong. I thought it was 12 p.m. Pacific time.
We're all
I'm glad I
good,
got you on time.
all good. We're juggling a lot of different time zones, so. Basically, we just went through announcements, which I didn't have any, and then we were doing updates, and Becky gave you a shout out about all you're doing with
Oh.
Meter members and Takeover Tuesdays. So if you had any updates or announcements you wanted to share, by all means, not to put you on the spot, but by all means, the stage.
Absolutely. Oh no, thank you for reminding me. I did have a couple, not an announcement so much of a suggestion. I'm not finding enough takers for the Takeover Tuesday. I think people are getting a little intimidated by the idea of spending an entire Tuesday, kind of taking over the platform. But I have seen in the past, like you guys have had plenty of people who have done takeovers. So maybe it's just the time right now. So I was thinking maybe if we could add like initially I thought we could, replace takeovers, but since there are people who will be interested, potentially, I thought we could add in like an additional event, because I'm not for right now the most between takeovers and Meetup members we have. People are excited for Meetup members. They like the promotional posts. They're excited to get on there without much effort on their part, which I understand. So I was thinking something like the San Francisco Center for the Book has like studio tours. They've been doing studio tours given by artists. So these can be pre-recorded. So, they don't have to give their time, like commit to a specific time on a particular like day of the week. Just reserve that for us. So that was one particular event I had in mind. Sorry, give me 1 second. I think I have, let's see. I also thought maybe we could put out an occasional post for like tips and hacks for making printmaking more accessible. Either they could DM us some of these, or we can open a chat. Unlikely that people will be interacting as much in real time, so we could probably feature some of these in the newsletter. That way I have more to put in the newsletter as well. Yeah, I think so, like accessibility in terms of like able-bodiedness, which is something I am always after, like how to avoid chronic pain while printmaking, and or in terms of like affordability. That's another way in which you can make it more accessible. And book recommendations is something else that we could feature. Like they could send us these tips and tricks, but like book recommendations on, especially on printmakers traditionally marginalized, or I had a hard time finding printmakers who, either women printmakers or printmakers of color initially when I got into printmaking. So that would have been a helpful resource for me. So these were just, I thought we could put these out there and see like what takes, because I'm finding myself struggling to plan like the month of to schedule takeovers I have plenty of I have like 4 or 5 Meta members, people lined up. So like for the next few months is okay. But yeah, maybe if we could introduce these, that would be good. What do you
Yeah.
guys think?
Sorry, I was just gonna say I love all of those ideas, and I think it would be a good way to utilize our YouTube as well, so we get more traction over there, instead of it just being the meetings, because I don't think I don't think a lot of people are going over there and watching our stuff, or maybe they don't know it's over there. So I think this is a great idea for multiple reasons.
That's a great idea. I didn't think of linking to YouTube, but yes, that's perfect. I will make a note of that. Yeah, so we can feature them on our channel. I've been putting it in the newsletter, but like it hasn't been, yeah, I don't think people have been going much. So definitely something to include.
And when we get into volunteer groups with Ruben a little bit later, maybe we can bring this back up so that it's not just you having to, since this is something Instagram and YouTube can do, hopefully if we can get volunteers for that, we can get you people to connect with, so you're not doing all of this work just by yourself, which thank you for doing this all by yourself so far, but hopefully we can get you some help.
No, absolutely. I'm excited to get to meet new people, new printmakers. It's exciting. I had one more suggestion. Do we have the time? Or I
Yes.
can bring it up later.
No, we have time.
Great. I already contacted Edie and Becky regarding this, but like I thought maybe we could bring in everybody's opinion on whether we can move content from the newsletter onto the website. Like there are static things in the newsletter right now at this point. Like let me see. I had it written down. Sorry. Yes, like next steps, call for volunteers, open calls for, Takeover Tuesday, Meta members. So I could instead just include links to the website now that we have a place to put all of our information. And so we can keep the newsletter for updates. So that would be like, we did this, these things this month, and here are our upcoming, like here's the portfolio or things that would change from month to month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that sounds right, or not right, but like good.
Perfect. Thank you. What do you?
Yeah, I meant to reply to your email, but
No
Great.
problem.
I think that's a good idea. And it's already on the website, so I think we already have like the Takeover Tuesday application form on the website, and I don't remember if we have the Meet Our Members on the website or not, but it wouldn't be too difficult to put up because you can just link a Google form into the website. So
Perfect.
yeah.
That sounds good. Thank you. I didn't expect, an email. I just shot it out to you and Edie very quickly, and I know it's a busy time right now, so totally fine. Thank you guys. This was super helpful. I wanted some feedback on this and appreciate it.
Nice. Thank you. All right. I think, is that it for updates and announcements then?
Sorry, I remembered another one.
No, absolutely. We have time. Go ahead.
So one of the updates that I was going to do at the last meeting, and this is, my fault for getting sick, but
it's not your fault for getting sick. No one's fault for getting sick.
But we have the results in from the logo, and I wanted to just kind of mention them and like have a little brief discussion about them beforehand. I'm on my phone, so I can't share the results, but
I saw the email. Hold on.
Yes,
you can
please.
talk while I look for it, but go ahead. You
can even just look at the Google form, because the vote came in for specifically I think it was the teal and the blue color scheme, and there were a handful of suggestions on things we could do to change it. So I wanted to ask a few people like which changes I should go forward with before we officially announce. We've announced that we have the vote in, but I want to kind of make sure that we have any little edits that I'm going to make agreed upon before I just kind of make them, or if we just want it to remain the same way that it is in the email.
So what edits are you looking for exactly? Potential edits are you looking for exactly?
So hold on, I'm trying to pull them up. Phones are not made for this. Okay. Move on with the meeting because I'm going to take a minute. I'm struggling.
we can have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll loop back to that. So next on the list, I believe, is then the fundraiser. So we were kind of playing around with a like a potluck portfolio before, but after discussing it, we're going with a print potluck instead of a portfolio. So the little blurb that we're going to be sharing everywhere is potlucks are a way for individuals to come together and share space, knowledge, and resources with each other in order to nurture the community as a whole. To raise money for RIPG's nonprofit incorporation, we are asking members and other interested printmakers to donate prints to be raffled off. The prints will be part of a one-of-a-kind limited edition collection composed of pre-made prints from various artists, hence the potluck aspect. Please note that you aren't required to create new works for this fundraiser. Anyone who donates prints will have their name automatically entered into the raffle, and everyone else interested in owning a collection will be able to buy entry. Anyone is allowed to buy additional entries to better their odds. Participants are also welcome to donate either prints or money towards the cause and not be entered in the raffle if they so choose. And then please contact RIPG via email with any questions. So I changed a lot of language on that already, but reading through it again, we decided to go from, instead of prints, calling it works, because more of a technical thing, but like as long as it utilizes some aspect of print, it doesn't need to be a formal, like formally print. So that is something I'll be changing. And then in the agenda, I just put in a quick, or like a timeline that we're kind of working with, which all of this can change if you guys think it's either too much time or not enough time. But basically, we'll start overall heavy promotion of the idea starting January 8th through the 15th of next year. And then from the January 15th through February 11th, we'll be accepting donations. Donated works need to be postmarked by February 11th. That way it gives people time to get it to us. February 11th through the 25th is when the collections will be collated, and Ruben and Kay have already volunteered to do that. But if we get more volume, like more people sending in things, there's a possibility we might need more help. But that's something we won't know until later down the road. Then from February 27th through March 13th, the collections will be promoted on Instagram and anywhere else we feel, and probably like the newsletter and anywhere else. An entry sale begins that same time. So we'll tease prints in the collection, and then entry will be sold from the 27th until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, March 13th. And again, all of these things can change. March 20th, we have the winner or winners picked, and then March 22nd through April 5th, we'll have collections sent out to winners. So that means that we won't really be seeing the profits from the fundraiser until April, so like spring. So that's kind of the breakdown of the timeline. Are there any like thoughts on that so far as it is?
Could you share the prospectus
Yes.
so that everyone else can kind of look at it?
And is it like gonna, are there multiple collections, like all the prints will be divided into multiple collections so multiple people will like win the raffle, or is it one? How's that going?
So yes and no. It's all reliant on how many people participate, because if we only get 5 people donating, I don't think we will, but if we only get 5 people donating works, so like 5 works per person, then we'll either raffle off individual works or we'll raffle off one collection. But if we get like 100 works from people, then we can make more collections, and then we can raffle off more. So that's why there's like potential for a winner or multiple winners.
Okay.
So I'm copying. I'll share my screen, but I'm also going to drop it here for you all to see. So this is kind of the, and it's kind of a dump for everything going on. So, but, and then so there's a little blurb that's just basically talking about who we are, why we're doing, like why we're trying to raise money. And then for entry, the raffle, I don't remember if I've updated these dates. I think I have, but I'm not sure. The raffle will run from this time to this time. Entry right now, we have it set for $5. But we're also offering a reduced price of $2.50, which will be for anybody who's a student, part of the global majority. So that's, in other terms, that's people who are seen as the minority, or anyone needing a reduced price. I'm just leaving it at that. And then this is all information on how to enter. So first, last name, and email. If you're donating works, we're asking for the title, year, materials, and a photo for our records. We went back and forth on that because we're trying to keep it accessible. So if people can't scan it, it's also phones is an option, but we're also talking about making that part an optional aspect, the photo part. Also, sorry if you can hear my computer breathing heavily. She's from 2015. And then names will be drawn and contacted on March 1st. Like I said, I don't know if I updated the dates on this part. And then participants will have 24 hours from selection to claim their prize before forfeiting, and another person's name is drawn, which is why we gave kind of a long period for things to be sent out. The number of collection raffled and the size of the collection fully rely on participation and donations. And then we just put a note in that some collections may include works that may not be fully archival, since we're telling people to be able to just use whatever they have or things they've already had on hand. Because if people want to make something for this, by all means they can, but we're trying to make it as low maintenance as possible for folks. So maybe we'll just put this note on any collection that has it, because I have a feeling we might not get too many with non-archival things, just in case. And then we have this part about if people would like to donate prints, we have a Google form working, which I can also share in a second. And then mail works, this needs to be postmarked instead. And then we have works must use at least one print method in its production. No work smaller than 5x7 and no larger than 9x12, which is another reason why it's a collection instead of a portfolios. Again, kind of semantics. And then at least 2 colors, and the colors can include things outside of print methods, so like hand printed, colored pencil, things like that. I think Ruben mentioned like stickers and stuff like that. And then must be at least on archival paper. So that's kind of everything we broke down. And then this is the timeline once again. So you guys have any thoughts or questions on either the entry bit or the timeline, or even this like little blurb talking about what we're doing and why?
There are 2 questions in the chat, or 3 questions, sorry. 2 from Tanushree and 1 from Becky. So the first one is, what is the difference between potluck versus portfolio in this case? And second, from Tanushree, can artists donate multiple prints or just 1 per entry? And then Becky asks, what do we do with people who donate more than $5? Do they end up with multiple entries?
That is something we've talked about a lot, because we're trying to make it so that people with more money don't necessarily get to come out of it, like they don't get an upper hand. We're trying to keep it as equitable as possible. But that being said, we're also trying to run a fundraiser so we can incorporate. So I don't have an answer for the for Becky's question, and I would love other people's input. Within
I had a thought that maybe we could just make it to where whatever you pay, so like you're paying and submitting a payment for 1 entry, that way, like even if somebody is donating $5 or $20, or even if they want to be really generous, they do like $100 or whatever, it still counts as just like 1 entry. It's like 1 entry number or 1 entry name or like tally. That was the thought that I had regarding that method. Becky has hand up.
Yeah, so we could do it that way, or we could do a maximum where we say, you know, you can enter a maximum of 5 times, but donations exceeding that quantity are welcome. That way they can't like game the system and put like, let's say somebody donates $100, they can't put, how many, I don't even know how many raffle tickets that would be, too many, 20, there we go, math. But then they would have 20 entries when somebody would just have one, and that kind of ruins the fairness of it and the equitability of it. So maybe we max it out at 5 or 3 or something like that. That way people know that, like, it's not that we don't want your money, because like we do, believe me, but also that we're trying to keep it fair, you know?
We could do a mixture of both. So we just put a max on how many times you can enter and make it clear that the $5/250 is a minimum payment to enter. That way, if somebody wants to donate $100, they understand that that's one entry, like Ruben said, and then we detail them that, hey, you can only enter up to 5 times.
So like separate payments, right?
Yeah, although, and I know we also have a, on the Google, let me just share the Google form. I know we also have a button on the Google form that's like, I want to donate money and not be entered. So like, maybe there's just a way to circumvent that for people who are just trying to donate. So they could donate as many times as they want. Although I guess in that case, they could just do one big lump sum donation. So maybe it's a non-issue. Let's see, get people think. Don't know if that's the right thing. I don't think I've ever shared a Google form. Hold on. Is that it? That looks like Google Docs. I don't think that's right. I'm just gonna share my screen for the time being until I figure that out. Yeah, sometimes I really feel like a boomer in terms of technology. So down here we have, please select the option that applies to you. I'm only donating money to be entered into the raffle. I'm only donating a print to be part of the collection that will be raffled off. I'm both donating money and I am donating a print to be part of the collections. And then I have donated money to the cause that I do not wish to be entered into the raffle. So the more I think about it, I think what I brought up is a non-issue, because they probably wouldn't donate more than once if they're just donating to give us some money and not be a part of anything else. So yeah, I think adopting the two things you brought up, you and Ruben and Becky brought up, is a good way to get around that. So I'll include that language in this write-up. Oops, sorry. There we go. And then the other two questions. So potluck versus portfolio. Is this like collection versus portfolio, or do you actually mean like potluck versus portfolio?
Well, I think it also got answered because you said like, because you're making it mixed media, we're making it, kind of more open, the definition. So I totally got that. Yeah, I guess it's in the semantics, right? It's how rigidly we define it.
Yeah. And I can answer the potluck part specifically too. It's because we're kind of, even though in potlucks people are making stuff to bring to an event or a function, and in this one we're not asking anybody to make anything. It's the idea of like something you have on hand that you can bring to the table to help a greater cause. So that's like the potluck aspect of it. And then the artists donate multiple prints or just one print for entry. I think, again, kind of like the money issue, people could donate, like if they only wanted to be entered once, they could donate like 5. And this is something we can also put language in, like a minimum of 1 print per entry, but like just know, no matter how many times you like enter, either there's a cap of like you can only enter this many times. So if you have like 10 prints lying around or works that you want to get rid of, maybe submit 2 per thing. I'm not entirely sure.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Or we could just not put a cap on. No, I guess you would need a cap for donations as well as money. Because if we have more donations than people who have given us money, then we would be using money at some point. So that's another thing we have to think about a little bit. But I think if people have things lying around and want to donate to it, then that by all means they should be able to do that. Are there any other thoughts on that? Okay.
Is there the possibility of like maybe if all of that is like in one form, like can we add drop down menu of like, I'd only like to be entered in the raffle one time, or like, and the numbers go to 1 to 5 or whatever we decide the limit of numbers you can be entered in is. Because yeah, like Becky was saying, like, you know, you can donate $100, and each increment of 5 up to maximum of 5 entries or something like that, where encouraging maybe people, to donate a little bit more, but still max, their probability in that drawing or something.
And this is for donating the works on paper.
Or like if people are buying raffle tickets, or, I don't know, just I was trying to think through that, like.
Okay. So just adding an option of, I just want to be entered one time, regardless of how many times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I want to be entered 2 times, or like if there's just another question on the, well, that's in PayPal, never mind. I don't know. Conflating my Google Forms and a PayPal thing.
Yeah, and that's one other thing we're gonna have to figure out is like, how do the Google form and the PayPal kind of talk? Like, are we having people do that and then going and filling out this form? Or so that's going to be, there's still some things we have to tweak, which if we don't get it figured, since this is next week is the last week right before, I know, Christmas, and I think Hanukkah starts next week, I believe, unless it's already started. So I doubt a lot's going to get done in the next 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of the year. So that leaves like a week, maybe 2 weeks before the start of promotion. And even while we're promoting things, we have some time still to figure out the last minute like logistics. But if you all think it's going to take more time, we can also push the timeline of this back a bit, which I can also bring up the timeline again if you want to see it.
I think that part of the timeline is good, frankly. I mean, a week feels like a short period of time to make those changes, but at the same time, we won't be able to like anticipate everything, and so we'll still get questions from people publicly. And what we might do is just send out a Q&A, maybe have Tanushree send out a Q&A in the newsletter about that when we start getting, or an FAQ about when we start getting questions, and that way people know and they have that public aspect to it. And then Edie and I can make a graphic for that FAQ for the potluck as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm glad you brought that up, because I also have, it's in the chat, I also have a rough draft for Instagram or just sharing on Instagram. So I did all my stuff on Canva, and I told Ruben and Kay last time we met that Canva has an option for Canva Pro if you're a nonprofit. So that's something I'm looking into for future use. I also know that in the past we've had issues with trying to share some of this, but hopefully I'm gonna play around and see if I can figure out what that was. So, Lord. This is kind of just like a quick little rundown that we can share on Instagram about like what all of this is, how to enter. So I'll take all the things we've talked about today and put it back into this, but this will be ready to go whenever we're ready. I'm also playing around with how much text and how many slides we have. So I'm trying to condense a lot of information. Yeah, so that's for a post, and then this is a potential for a story. And it's based off of a poster Kay made, which I still have the info from the poster Kay made. So this could be shared on stories, and then we can make some more graphics for the newsletter, like the poster Kay made. So yeah, that's all I have for the potluck fundraiser idea so far.
Yeah, I don't mind doing things on Canva. In fact, I was sitting on the plane yesterday going, man, I wish I had downloaded Canva so I could just be making stuff right now. But send Edie and I an email about that too, because she recently told me that she was willing to help with that now that the website's up. So,
Okay.
and that might also help keep some colors consistent and stuff too, because she knows all our hex codes and
The first one, oh, I stopped sharing, but the posts I tried to make it kind of like our website our website colors, which I don't have the hex code. I just kind of looked on the website and played around. But I also incorporated a lot from the poster. And you can put hex colors in, which is how I got a lot of the colors to match the poster that Kay already made. So
nice.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Canva.
Yeah, I have a friend who makes all of their PowerPoints through Canva, and I was like, you are a clever person.
Okay, so that's all I have. Were there any other questions or last minute like suggestions for the fundraiser?
Did we?
Just
Go ahead, Tanisha, and then Becky can go next.
so just to clarify, like I would be putting that the details of the fundraiser that week of Jan when we are heavily promoting it, right? That the second week of Jan, then that's the time you wanted to send out the newsletter with the Jan 8th to 15th. So is that how I should schedule my Jan newsletter so that I send it out during that week, or should we just send out a special email?
I don't want to make anything harder for you. So if it doesn't line up with when the newsletter comes out, you can either put it in and just say coming up and put like the date we're going to start doing all of that in. So if your newsletter comes out before the 8th, you can just say coming up. If it comes out after the 8th, that's fine, because we'll be promoting it on Instagram and probably the website as well. So whenever the newsletter does come out, as long as it's in there, me personally, I think it's fine. But whatever's easiest for you, in my opinion. That's just me.
Thank you. Because I've been wondering about how active to be in December. Like I know people are going to be busy with vacations, but they're also like off work. So I'm like, should I do the meet the members post and send out the newsletter or not? Like I couldn't tell if viewership or readership would be increase or decrease. Like if you guys could tell me your experience, based on that I can schedule it.
Yeah, I think as what generally happens is if we send something out like shortly before Christmas, usually people don't see it until they get back in January, which is perfectly fine because a lot of this stuff isn't going to be happening, I think, until January. And I don't think we have anything like going out for a vote in a time period or anything like that. So I think that should be fine. It gets sticky when we have things like, we need you to vote within these 2 weeks, but it should be fine. And also, I have also noticed that I think Christmas is like stressful and a lot of people are on their phones in the bathroom. Just trying to extend a little bit of private time away from their families. So sometimes we get more people involved in December, which is really interesting. So yeah, you'll see either one. Yeah. So I don't think it should be a concern personally.
Great. And that's the exact use case I was thinking of. That's me usually in the holidays in the bathroom on my phone. So I was like, maybe we could get those people. So maybe what I could do is send out a newsletter, do a meet the members post, and then do like an early January, like second week of January newsletter. So that will cover like, the upcoming Instagram response and the portfolio, which I'm excited to send word out about. So I can schedule it that way. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If you wanted to say your part, and then we'll move on to so we can keep it going.
So I switched to my computer because I gave up. I'm not that tech savvy. So is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes. Do you have access? Actually, real quick, could we do Ruben first and then we can do you at the end?
Perfect.
Right. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
For the volunteer section?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'm going to take. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. So one of the things that we've been working on, this is not a new thing by any means. This is still something that has been a work in progress. Overall, is that we are still trying to find ways to get new volunteers. We're trying to streamline the process of what it looks like, because in the past, what we have received is people want to volunteer, but they're not quite sure where to kind of go in and help with that, or they don't know who to kind of reach out to. So in order to kind of like make it a little bit easier with like delegation, and this isn't really reinventing anything that we haven't already done before, it's kind of just reaffirming what our core kind of actions have been and where we tend to really need help with. So if anything, this is maybe more of a reminder in this new form of what the volunteer opportunities kind of are. We basically have this spreadsheet here, which is available, I believe, I hope it's on the website. Becky, is it on the website?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So this is a link to a Google Sheets form that you can get onto the website. You can, on one sheet, you have the volunteer descriptions, and you'll see each different area that we have. Again, nothing totally out of the ordinary here, but we have broken things up a little bit to kind of make them the subcategories, so it doesn't feel super like overwhelming with certain things. As you can kind of see, like Instagram's been kind of like broken up into like multiple different parts. So we've got YouTube, which is the same as it's always been. We're uploading the Zoom meetings to our YouTube account, editing captions, making sure that they're accurate. I can still be the person that you can communicate with, or you can communicate with Becky, but feel free to come to me about that stuff because I've managed that in the past. We have broken Instagram up into subcategories. We have stories, posts, Takeover Tuesdays, and Meet Our Members. I know Tanushree has been doing a lot of work with the latter two, but regarding stories and posts, this is kind of more of a flexible kind of position where you get access to the Instagram account. And it's more so just like sharing, like sourcing and sharing open calls and opportunities, supporting things on Takeover Tuesdays, finding ways to support, being like, hey, there's a meeting coming up. Like, you know, I'll like jump on the story and like post something really quick, or you see something from one of our members and you want to reshare it onto the account page, right? You can just get on it and do that. Our Instagram has been a source for a lot of our membership. It's the primary source for a lot of our membership to get information from us still. So we want to make sure that that is an open place where people can kind of like get that information. So stories is really kind of self-explanatory, just putting stuff out there. And then we also have posts as well. Now, for these two areas, in stories and in posts, we would love for somebody who volunteers in this area to have some design background in order to, you know, make something that is like visually appealing and like eye-catching for our feeds, especially within the posts as well. So thinking about graphics that could go there as well. These are usually going to be graphics that will align with activities that we have actively going on in the guild in the moment. So for instance, potluck, we do have a kind of system for that, and you can coordinate with like Olivia, for example, for that area. Or if it's something for like Meet Our Members or Takeover Tuesday, that maybe you can provide support for that person who is doing like a takeover that day. And like, hey, I'll like help you like make the post or something, or I can like, you know, be a contact for you or something like that. Either way, those are just some like ideas of like what we would want to do. And also just like reaffirming, even just making a post to be like, hey, this is who we are. I think it's really good to re-enter into people's feeds because I think the algorithm is not in our favor at the moment because we have not been regularly posting. And so having kind of more posts, even just like repeating some of the things that we have done, or even just being like, are you interested in volunteering? Here's like some opportunities that you can do. And like, do you know we have a YouTube account? Here's where things you can look at our meetings and our past events that we've done, for example. So, and then Becky, I see your message here. The website will need to be refreshed anytime a Google form or spreadsheet is updated or edited. It's easy, it takes like 3 minutes, but it would be good to add to the website volunteer category. That is great. Thanks for letting me know that. I have not played around with the website yet. So that is definitely an area to look at. Edie Overturf has been doing a lot of great work for us on the website. And so I think she would be kind of a main contact person for that. Again, I will kind of include that in the notes over there. But we have other things like administrative work, working with the mailing list. So we use Gmail primarily. And so it would be assisting us with checking our inbox, updating membership in the Contacts Google app. So people who email and want to be put on the newsletter, or people who don't want to be on the newsletter, just keeping that contact list up to date so that we're not sending emails to people who no longer want to receive them, or making sure that we are sending emails to people who do want to see them. And then newsletter, obviously we have Tanushree for that, so thank you. But if Tanushree needs any assistance with that, that would be great. And then also just like responding to folks in our inbox. Of course, you can always like work with us about like what would be the best way to respond to this, or defer it to us, or just, hey, this person sent an email. I don't really know what to say about this. Maybe you should take care of this. And I'd be like, great, I'll get on. And then we have our last two things, fundraising, and then of course, general. So again, if you are interested in volunteering to help come up with new fundraising opportunities for us, that is also something that we are more than happy to support and receive support from. So if that's an interest that you have, you can communicate with Becky on some of that stuff. And then we just have like a general flexible help. If you just are available on like certain days and you're like, hey, I have time from this time to this time on this day of the week, and you just tell me you just deploy me wherever you need to go, you can also sign up for that. So that's a quick run through of the different areas that you can volunteer. If you click over to the active volunteers sheet, then you can see a really great way to kind of enter your information. So you can put your information, you can put your name here, and then in this drop-down menu, you can select any one of the things that I just mentioned on the previous sheet, and it will be whatever's on there will be reflected in this drop-down menu, and then you can select specific days. So that way, if say we have like a lot of things that we have to get going, and we need to just like maybe like reach out or like even just like ask, right? I can just be like, okay, well, I know Tanushree is available Wednesday, Thursday. That's when they have available. You know, so like maybe like those are good days to kind of reach out to them. So we'd encourage you to kind of include this on here as well. Not required, but would be useful for us to kind of see what days you have available. So that way we can also delegate, you know, in an accommodating fashion based on your schedule. And then you can also include like a little note over here with what maybe like an addendum. Maybe you put general and then you have like or like a specific time frame or something. Anything that you feel like you need to communicate to us. So yeah, that's just a reiteration of the volunteer opportunities in section there. So if you have any questions, please, yeah, I kind of open it up to the group now.
One thing.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead, Emma.
I was just gonna say, I can, since I was doing those YouTube captions at one point, if that's something that needs doing, I can take care of that. Start doing that again if that still is a need.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me also include, put the sheet into the chat as well, so that.
I think I looked at this and didn't see the active volunteers tab, and I was like, oh, cool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Missed that part. Now I get it.
This is maybe also the problem of me being a spreadsheet nerd and utilizing multiple tabs for a spreadsheet. So yeah.
I was gonna say, so for the volunteer section, people might end up having to put their name in multiple times. Like I'm doing the website and I'm doing the Instagram and I'm doing, I mean, the point of this is so that I'm not doing all of those things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we might have people that are doing multiple different things, like Tanushree's doing the mailing list and the other thing. And so it's not a major issue, but it's just something to note that people will maybe be doing redundant entries. But I also wanted to say, I really like that you've put it in so that people can mark their availability. Because that helps know when to like email them or send them messages or things like that about it, or to expect when they're actually going to be making or doing work. So yeah, I really like the improvements you've made to this form. Pumpkin likes them too.
Oh, thanks, Pumpkin.
Oh, the other thought that I had was on the volunteer descriptions, maybe we should put like a short blurb that tells people essentially that they can be in more than one, that they can determine how long or how much time they spend on these things, all that kind of stuff, so they know how to interact with the form.
Yes. That could probably go like up in here.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great, yeah, that's a great point, because I hadn't thought about that before.
I'm willing to help out more. I know that like I've kind of been a somewhat passive member the past few months because I've been moving and getting into a new little life in Minneapolis, but I'm pretty much done with my moving and stuff. So I'd be happy to kind of help out with whatever. I think that I would be well suited to any of the design, like preparing graphics for anything, like whether that's Instagram posts or stories or whatever. But and then additionally, my days of the week would be pretty much as flexible as can be since I'm fun employed for now. But yeah, I guess if I guess maybe what I'm saying is I'm willing to help out with whatever maybe seems like a priority. I could handle doing an hour a week of like prepping a bunch of Instagram posts or something.
Maybe it would be better for you to do like general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I did. Is this form supposed to be editable by other people?
Yeah, is it not?
Yeah, because I just tried to, I just like blurbed all this stuff to you all, but because I just tried to type into it and it said like, no, you're viewer only. So I thought it was supposed to.
Oh, in active volunteers, it's not letting you do that?
Yeah, I just went to type in the screen and it's, yeah, it up on the top of the Google spreadsheet, it says view only and I can request edit access.
Okay. That is something that I will work on, because that is not something that I
At the bottom, right by anyone with link. Yeah, right there.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
done.
Okay, now I'll refresh this. I will try again.
The only thing I do need to do is I
Wow.
need to lock.
Okay.
This column doesn't need to be locked. I'll figure out how to do that later. Yeah, the one thing that I would just recommend nobody do is change anything in area, because the second you change these, it will change what shows up here. So just FYI. I will find a way to lock it, because you can lock cells in a spreadsheet and prevent people from touching them. I've had to do that at past jobs, so people did not mess with my spreadsheets. Cool. All right. That's all I really had regarding volunteers. I just wanted to kind of reiterate that point.
Are there any other suggestions or thoughts for volunteer list? Like, is there a group we're forgetting? Do you think that there's something that should be its own group, or things you've noticed like that could probably be done more, or just done, period, if we're not doing it? That's to everybody, not just Ruben. Just want to make that clear. No? Okay. Well, if you guys think of any volunteer category that we could add, or that maybe we have and isn't really being utilized and could go, feel free to let us know.
I would say, I'm just noticing this right now, but under the category of fundraising, the first two things, help with bylaws and articles of incorporation, like those are obviously like highly important things, but they're not really fundraising. I mean, so I guess if you wanted to break that into like two more categories, maybe it's creating too many categories, but I could see that being its own grouping in a way, like incorporation, like people who have those skills, versus fundraising. I don't know, splitting that into two could be something.
You also just reminded me that stuff is done.
Oh, well,
The bylaws are done, and the articles of incorporation are a thing that need to happen. But maybe it's more so just like right now we need like funding for that.
well, then you could update that blurb on there, because for me, for example, if I saw that as written right now, I might think like, ooh, that's some heavy stuff. I don't know if I have the capacity to help with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I will change that because that is a good, I totally missed that.
I also had a quick question. I've been linking, I think, in the newsletter to the volunteer form, and I was wondering at some point if the spreadsheet looks great, and I was wondering if we could consolidate. Like, I'm not sure where the final list of current volunteers, current and active volunteers is. So maybe I should just link to the spreadsheet instead of the form. Do we have a preference, or is there like some kind of system where we go from the form to the spreadsheet? Is someone updating that?
Oh, there's a form.
There's a form too. I think there's a volunteer. Wait, I will double check. I think I may have got my forms crossed, but
That would be good to know. I was like I was unaware of
I will
Mhm.
say if there is a form and there is some kind of list, it's probably extremely outdated. It's probably from when we first started this back in 2020. So if one does exist, I think we should go with the one Ruben's created and scrap whatever volunteer list we've had in the past and go off of the new one. Plus that'll just make people recommit to a volunteer position. Because I know I still need to go down and mark what I'm available to do. So,
I do too, yeah.
but if there is one that exists, I wouldn't delete it right away because it might be helpful to see how we structured things in the past, but I would say go off of the new one Ruben's created.
Yeah.
oh, sure. Thank you.
So while you were looking for that, I will just move on to the last kind of bit of the meeting, which is open floor, which unfortunately Becky had to go right before, but if you guys had any ideas about the logo, that's kind of what she was going to bring up, which I can I don't know what she found that she was going to share. I think it was just different colorways for the logo because like the design of it is, I think, staying, but there were different colorways options of this. So I guess if you have any thoughts on it, maybe it's not readable in areas, or I don't know. That's kind of the best I have for it. So if you guys have any suggestions for it, you can let me know and I can pass that on, or like you can state it here and we can pass it on to Becky, or you can just reach out to Becky specifically with anything you have, I guess. Unless Ruben, do you know what she was going to pull up? No.
I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, other than that, the floor is open for anybody else to share anything or bring up anything that they had questions on. We can circle back to other parts of the meeting if you have more questions. So the floor is open to you all. And if we have nothing to share, then we can just go ahead and move to close the meeting. And either we can all just scatter at the end of the meeting, or you can hang out and talk if people have a moment to. But I know Ruben has something immediately after this, so maybe ending early would be a nice little break before the next thing. So
Sure, yeah,
Did you-
I'm good. Just confirming, I have been linking to Ruben's spreadsheet. I thought I saw a form, but there isn't one. I'm linking to the right one, so
Okay.
which is
Oh, yeah.
great. The spreadsheet is awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll just have to make sure that it's updated on the website, which I guess is maybe just refreshing the link that's on the website. I'm also not entirely sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about what that entailed. I would need to talk with Edie about that more.
And I did put a note while you were talking. I was trying to be note taker for you for that.
Oh,
section.
thank you.
I
thank
put a
you.
note about updating it on the website, but it's very vague because I don't know what that means.
Okay.
So if there is nothing else, then I'm gonna go ahead and move to close the meeting. Yeah, I don't really know what to say, but thank you guys for showing up. It's good to see some new faces in terms of like haven't seen people in a while. And that's because I haven't been here in a while. So hopefully looking forward to the 2023 and happy holidays, since we probably won't be seeing each other until then.
All right,
Thanks,
I'm gonna
everybody.
stop recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, just